Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 945A, and today's date is April 14th, 2016, and the title of the episode is Confirmed the Banking System Has Been Manipulating Precious Metals Market. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today we see the market is up a little bit, but we see gold is being suppressed, and we knew it was going to start to be pushed down because we saw gold was rising, and we knew eventually what they were going to do was come back in, use paper contracts, push the gold back down. But what's going to happen now is that gold is going to rise once again, and it is going to get harder and harder for them to continually do this. And this is when they're going to lose control, because the indicators that we're looking at this point, they're all showing us that we're heading into this major collapse. And there's really no other way to look at this. I know a lot of people say, well, manufacturing might be down, but we have the service sector. But we really don't have the service sector because that's declining. Well, housing's really doing well, but we do see prices falling. We do see houses on the market longer and longer. There is information coming out of the corporate media saying, well, housing's starting to slow. And if we really look back in time, housing really haven't gone anywhere. We see retail, well, that's declining. That's a fact. It's not doing anything. Stores are closing. They're contracting. So it's getting harder and harder to convince people that everything is okay. And we're starting to see that all their statistical information that they're throwing at us, it makes no sense whatsoever anymore. I mean, they're coming out with the initial jobless claims. And of course, they use the word unexpectedly. Plunged to 43-year lows. Oh my God, it just unexpectedly just plunged, and we're back to 1973 levels. And when you look at these numbers, you say, okay, initial jobless claims, it continually falls. They have to match it up to the unemployment numbers, which they continually manipulate. And when we compare it to the ISM services employment, which is declining now, it makes no sense because more and more jobs are being lost in this area. When we look at manufacturing, we know jobs are being lost. So, okay, these two areas, we see jobs are declining, and initial jobless claims are continually falling. And then we look at the NFIB small business employment, which is declining rapidly. We see initial jobless claims continually falling. And every day we get a new round of people being laid off. We realize that the high-paying jobs, they're non-existent at this point. We see Semantic, they're going to be laying off people. The exact number is not known yet. UC Berkeley, 500 staff jobs. American Apparel, up their layoffs to about 500 plus. Alcoa, they're up to 2,000 people. And we are continually seeing this non-stop. And this tells us that someone again is lying. And you know who it is. It's the U.S. government. They continually lie to the people. Remember, the central banks are not in it for the people. Their product is debt, and all they do is put people into more and more debt. They put countries into more and more debt, and they buy up the real assets for pennies on the dollar. Now, we are definitely seeing how bad things are getting. Macy's right now, they're going to be giving away gift cards in exchange for used clothes. Now, they partnered up with this website called ThreadUp, and you bring in your old clothing, and it has to be clean, it has to be name brand, and they will give you a gift card to go shopping in Macy's. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work, but you can see that Macy's is hurting at this point if they need to go to this level. Because when everything is fine, retail is expanding, people have discretionary funds, they don't need to do this. They feel comfortable in going out and purchasing clothes. So you might get, $15, $20 for your clothing, and it's not just like a pair of pants and a shirt or a dress or something like that. It's probably all bundled together. You're going to take that and go spend $140 or whatever it is, whatever amount you spend on clothing, and that's really not going to make a big difference to a lot of people. I know it's not going to make a big difference in my family, but they're doing whatever they possibly can to get people to purchase in retail, because they're starting to realize the economy is what's hurting the people. It's what the central banks have done is what's actually hurting the business. It's not the weather. It's not the holidays, the way they fall. It's not that the store needs to be cleaned up. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with people losing jobs. It has to do with people who cannot find jobs, people who find part-time jobs. That's it. But of course, the corporate media, the central bank, the U.S. government, they want to make you think something completely else is going on here. Now, we're starting to see the housing market start to really fall apart here. Out in San Francisco, we see that home prices are starting to fall for the first time in 4 years. Home prices fell by 1.8% year on year in March. And right now, San Francisco is one of the most expensive housing markets in America. And we're starting to see that people are saying, okay, this is getting out of my reach. Housing prices are being pumped up artificially. And they do this very easily by telling the banks to keep the houses, the foreclosures, and everything else off the market. Investment, hedge funds, foreign investors come in and they buy thousands and thousands of houses. They don't resell them. They try to rent them if they can, but they keep them off the market. The Fed steps in and buys all the toxic real estate, trillions and trillions of dollars worth. And it's very easy to manipulate certain cities around the country. Now, can they do everything? No, this is why we see inconsistencies out there. This is why when I look in certain areas, we see houses on the market 90, 120 days, 150 days. Prices continually coming down $10, $20, $30, $40,000. Because what's really going on out there is that houses are not really selling. The American people are sitting on the sidelines right now. And we're starting to see that this whole thing is starting to crack and fall apart, and this will accelerate as time goes on. Now, everyone on the alternative media normally talks about the manipulation in gold and silver, and we're getting word that, yes, banks do manipulate the precious metals market. Now, a group of silver bullion banks, Deutsche Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia, HSBC, and UBS, they were accused of manipulating the prices in the multi-billion-dollar market. Now, there was a lawsuit which was originally filed in New York in the district court by litigator J. Scott Nicholson. He's a resident of Washington, D.C., and he alleged that the banks manipulated the silver market. The physical silver, the COMEX futures, since January of 2007. And we come to find out that Deutsche Bank agreed to settle the litigation over allegations into illegally conspiring with Bank of Nova Scotia, HSBC, and USB in fixing the silver prices. Now, we also come to find out that Deutsche Bank was conspiring with these same banks to fix gold prices. So what we're seeing right now is through these lawsuits, the banking system, the central banking system, is doing this, and they are definitely manipulating the market. And it's funny how we can start to see the patterns of manipulation. Because just a couple days ago, we discussed how when the gold goes up, all of a sudden we're going to see it suppressed in the next couple of days. And it happens every single time. So what we're seeing right now is Libor is manipulated, silver is manipulated, gold is manipulated. The entire world is one big manipulation game. And it's not to any of our benefit. It's to their benefit. Now, Janet Yellen, out of all these meetings, these emergency meetings they were having with Obama, Biden, finance ministers, and other bankers, they came to the conclusion that they are focused on helping all Americans and all the people around the globe on Main Street. Because they're going to support economic conditions like jobs, stable prices, and everything else. Well, we know this is a lie. we know that this is not what they do. They are a private company, corporation. They are not a government office. They have stockholders. They have a product called debt. And we can see from everything that they've done, and I'm not talking about their words, I'm talking about their actions, that they are not working for Main Street. They're working for the banks. Just like gold, silver, Libor, the interest rates are manipulated, well, guess what? They're manipulating everything else for those banks. Because when we look at this, we see student loans skyrocketing, a bubble being pumped up, food stamps at all-time highs, the federal debt all-time high, money printing all-time high, healthcare costs continually rising all-time high, the labor force participation rate all-time low. I mean, we're going all the way back into the 80s, 70s right now. We see median family income declining and home ownership at all-time lows. So how are they working for the people? I'm a little confused on that issue. Now, the IMF is out there and they're trying to convince everyone, the everyday man and woman on the street, that negative interest rates are good for you. Because what they do is they help the economy and they help you out. No, they don't. They steal your money. It doesn't help you. It helps them keep the system going. And we see that the ECB, their deposit rate is at negative 0.4%. Bank of Japan is at negative 0.1%. Swiss National Bank is at negative 0.75%. Swedish National Bank is at negative 0.5%. Danish National Bank is at negative 0.65%. And they're trying to convince everyone that this stimulates the economy and it helps the everyday person on the street. No, it helps them. It helps them keep the system alive before it comes crashing down on everyone. That's all that does. Now, we realize that the TPP, it is definitely not for the people. And we're starting to realize that the Obama administration is putting a lot of pressure on companies to go along with this. Now, I'm talking about the smaller companies who really don't have a say, who haven't really written this, because there's major large corporations that really have control of this. They're intertwined with the government. And then you have the smaller, the medium, the smaller companies that are just trying to get by. And we see that Obama is trying to bribe these smaller companies in going along with this new TPP deal. And he was trying to bribe the New England-based shoe company, New Balance, by saying, listen, we will buy your athletic footwear if you stop bad-mouthing the TPP. And then all of a sudden, the Obama administration reneged on the promise to give the sneaker maker a fair shot at military business if they stop bad-mouthing. Now, I understand why New Balance did this. They were like, oh, we're going to get all these new contracts from the government. We're going to be able to make a lot more money, maybe employ more people. But I think there comes a point, if you know something is wrong and you're bad-mouthing it because you realize down the road it's going to hurt your business, no matter what the government is trying to do at this point, we all need to stick to our guns and say no. And a New Balance spokesman said the chances of the Department of Defense buying shoes that are made in the USA are slim to none. A loss of those tariffs, the company says, would make imports cheaper and jeopardize its factory jobs in New England. So even if they went along with it, it wasn't going to work out in the long run anyhow. And we know that the Trans-Pacific Partnership, it's a Trojan horse. We know that this whole thing is a coup by the multinational corporations who are trying to take control of every single government. And we know if the TPP is completely passed, that the United States is going to become a third world nation, because one of the things in there is that they can bring outside workers from different countries into this country, and they're allowed to pay them their wage in the other country. How is the American worker going to compete with this? They can't. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.